Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to this very important meeting of the City Council as we do the people's work. At this time, if you would, please all stand for the invocation that will be given by Pastor Robert Lee, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Lee.
Let us bow. Eternal God, our Father, we come this evening to tend to business of this city. We pray for each and every citizen. We pray for our city council. We pray for all of our leaders because you told us to pray for those in authority over us. God, we ask your peace here tonight. We pray a special prayer, Lord, for our youth, for our teenagers, and all that they're up against. And we ask that everything that's said and done here tonight be pleasing unto you and to your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Lee. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir.
Members of the City Council, please indicate your presence electronically.
Six members of City Council are present.
Members of the City Council, but you have before your consideration the minutes of a call meeting of November the 26th, 2012, a call meeting of November the 26th, 2012, and a regular meeting of November the 27th, 2012. Are there any corrections?
Move adoption.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you will be voting electronically.
Okay.
The minutes are adopted 6-0.
Okay, very good. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. 12-490 presentations. Presentations to Vice Mayor Charles B. Whitehurst Sr. and Councilman Stephen E. Heretic for faithful City Council service. If Vice Mayor Whitehurst and Councilman Heretic would please join Mayor right at the Sergeant-at-Arms desk.
Test, test. Vice Mayor Whitehurst, it is always, sir, a pleasure for me and most of our leaders in this city when we're recognizing good citizens and people that have walked the walk, talked the talk, and actually got in there and done it even some more. And sir, you are an example. And I think I've shared with you, when I first met you, we were on committees doing groundwork. And I was stunned to find out that we had a city councilman that were actually down in the weeds with us regular folks working, sharing his opinion, speaking his mind, just like he does today. He's the same person that I've met, and there isn't a person in this room, and there isn't a person on a board or a commission or a committee or an organization, whether it be the community orgs that you've been involved, the Eureka Club, social groups, you, sir, has been consistent. And I think that's one of your honors and pride of who you are and what you have meant to this city and what other people can say about Charles Whitehurst. So I've got a proclamation here, sir, that we want to present for your 12 years of service here on council. And I actually, sir, am honored to read this, and it goes as follows. Whereas the Honorable Charles B. Whitehurst Sr. has served on Portsmouth City Council from 1998 to 2006, and again from 2008 to 2012, serving as Vice Mayor since 2010. And whereas he is a 1956 graduate of I.C. Norcom High School and received a Bachelor of Science degree from Norfolk State University with emphasis in banking, and in a certification program for Virginia treasurers by the University of Virginia. And whereas before serving on City Council, Vice Mayor Whitehurst was elected City Treasurer in 1985 and was re-elected in 1989 for a second term. He retired from the office of City Treasurer in December of 1993. And whereas public service and volunteerism is a passion for Vice Mayor Whitehurst, through the years, he has served the people of this city in various capacities. He served as a commissioner of Hampton Roads Transit and Hampton Roads Planning Commission, chairman of the Southeast Public Service Authority, chairman for the Notables Recognition and Banquet, and volunteers his time, not only to the city of Portsmouth, but to the entire Hampton Roads area. And whereas during his political career, Vice Mayor Whitehurst has served on countless boards and committees and has most recently been the council liaison to the following: the school board, the Mayor's Military Affairs Committee, the Workforce Development Opportunity Incorporated, the Planning Council Homelessness Program, the Planning Commission, the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority, the Economic Development Authority, Virginia Municipal League Transportation Policy Committee and Executive Board, the Finance Committee, and the Hampton Roads Transportation District Commission. Whew. Whew. And whereas, alongside his commitment to our city and his family, Vice Mayor Whitehurst is the recipient of numerous awards and respectable recognitions. He attends St. James Episcopal Church and is a Vietnam veteran. Now, therefore, I, Kenneth I. Wright, the mayor of the city of Portsmouth, Virginia, do hereby express the appreciation of the Portsmouth family to the Honorable Charles Whitehurst Sr., and we are grateful for your years of service, dedication, and pride that he has instilled in our community. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of Portsmouth, Virginia, to be affixed to this 11th day of December, 2012. Signed, Kenneth I. Wright, Mayor. Sir, congratulations. Please.
Simplify. You know, I owe my service to a host of people, but more importantly, the people that, when I grew up in a segregated city, segregated nation, I was told by some elderly black gentlemen that some of us would get through that door. If we get through that door, we're supposed to go and learn all we could learn and come back and tell people what's going on. They told me to say yes. I never learned the word no. I found that things were better on the other side. I tried to come back and let people know what's going on. It started out in Boy Scouts, Troop 82. Talk about being honor. Went to the Marine Corps, talk about duty, honor, and country. I served 3 terms in Vietnam. Didn't get shot, didn't have to shoot anybody, but I learned more about myself. The Marine Corps would build men out of you because they bring you to the brink of breaking and let you bring yourself back. Once a Marine, always a Marine. I do what I do every day. I make a difference in the lives of people every day. So when I walk out of the door, it's the only time I've served something twice was on the city council. So my term, 20 years in the Marine Corps, I never repeated an assignment. But I was asked to come back to council. This is what I'm ending right now, these 2 years now. It was the only thing I would do again. Wouldn't I do it again now? But I thought we had a need for a mayor. I ran and was not successful. People spoke, and that's it. I'm through with it. But I can walk out of the door and feel proud that I served the people. I tried to serve the people well. God bless you and thank you.
If you don't mind, could you continue to stand, because we want to also recognize Councilman Heretic, but I'm going to put the bishop on the spot because we just witnessed in the room a comment or two on behalf of our colleague to these two gentlemen that I think deserves to be repeated. So, Bishop, after I recognize Mr. Heretic, I'm going to take a little privilege as mayor and ask you to come down and speak for the team, if you would, sir. All right, Mr. Heretic, front and center, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
How about that? How about a hand for Mr. Heretic, please? Now, Mr. Whitehurst had 12 years. You've been lucky. 8 years. 8 years gets you a nice watch, okay, absolutely, with his name engraved on the back. Okay. So if you take it to the pawn shop, we'll know it was you.
Thank you very much.
So in all honesty, Councilman Heretic has served as a member of City Council from July 1st. Hold on, I thought I saw your lovely wife. Is she?
She is here.
Can she please join us?
I asked her to. She's shy.
She's shy. Okay.
Come on.
So we can take up more personal privilege of the mayor, please. Councilman Steve E. Heretic has served as a member of City Council from July 1st, 2004 through December 31st, 2012. Councilman Heretic has served as Council Liaison Economic Development Authority, Council Liaison to the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority, Council Liaison to the Courts and Jails, and as an alternate member of the Hampton Roads Regional Jail Authority, and as a member of the Hampton Roads Sports Authority. Now, I got to tell you, you can share with us in a minute your involvement with the Sports Authority, but as I shared with Vice Mayor Whitehurst, it is always my honor and pleasure to, in public service and people that do what we do, when we do it, how we do it, no matter how different it is, needs to be applauded, because there are very few in our community that will step up and want to do what we do. And I want to applaud you, ma'am, for allowing and loaning us this stellar of a fella, this legal scholar, this politician slash take out the trash when I tell you to guy. So it is a deep honor of mine and great honor and pleasure to present this watch to you, sir. And I didn't mention to you, Vice Mayor, that the third time's a charm. You said you came back twice and you won't do it again. I'm just letting you know, I heard on the street, the third time's a charm. And so, Mr. Heretic, if you would please, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, members, ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie. The past 8.5 years have been a tremendous privilege for me. I can tell you that I have loved this job in ways that I can't describe. I can tell you, too, that, my only regret upon leaving this evening is that I leave behind me extraordinary people. And some of them are sitting over there. Some are sitting up front. A good many of them are working tonight. I've said many, many times that I think we do more with less in the city of Portsmouth than any other city in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I know that that is true. And the way we do that is by the extraordinary spirit of the people who work for us and serve us every day. It has been the privilege of my life to work with you. I hope that future opportunities will present themselves for me to continue to do that. And Mr. Mayor, to you, to the fellow members of council, present and past, thank you very much.
You want a photo out? You want just them, all of us?
Come on. Give her the watch. She's going to take it anyway.
You out of film? Oh. Dr. Edmonds.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an unexpected pleasure.
Be ye ready.
I'm ready. I'd like to reiterate what was said in chambers before we came out, and just to let people know that what a friend you have been to me and to the council members that are here. We were friends before you even entered this game, and we shared confidential and intimate things that I think we helped one another. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. And you have done that with me and bringing me aboard council and pointing me in the right direction. And your legal mind and your medical mind, people don't know that about you, are second to none. You're a cutting edge person and a great person to have as a friend. And we on the council all consider you our friend. And to one of my heroes, he's an outspoken, no nonsense, gonna tell it like it is, whether you like it or not type of man. That's a Marine, Sergeant Major, amen. And I'm just grateful to have known Charles Whitehurst all of my life. He's a pioneer in Portsmouth. He grew up in Portsmouth, and he has brought the oversight and insight of Portsmouth on this council. His heart was always for Portsmouth and always will be for Portsmouth. I'm gonna miss your emails, but I'm going to welcome your advice. And so will all of us on this council. And so, sir, I'm going to give you an Air Force salute. I salute you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, at this time, we want to ask the lovely, talented, the Honorable Marlene Randall if she would please join me here. Absolutely. 10 years of service as a councilwoman.
Congratulations.
Ms. Randall, on behalf of the citizens of Portsmouth and this council, it is an honor and a pleasure to make this presentation of this lovely pen to you. Your name is not inscribed on it, so it's so fitting. And to go with that, we've got a check in the amount of $50.
Money, honey.
Want to congratulate you, yes ma'am, money honey, on your 10 years of service and your willingness to serve and be a voice for people all over this city and all over this region. There is not a place we go, ma'am, whether it's in education, whether it's in industry, that they don't know, and over in recreation and in the communities, Miss Marlene Randall and her footprint that she has left everywhere you've went. And you're up here with us now, and we're enjoying every moment of it. So congratulations on your 10 years, and if you would, briefly.
Thank you. First of all, I have to say thank you, God, for permitting me to be here at this time and at this moment. And I have to say thank you to my Portsmouth family for embracing me and permitting me to be of service to you. I always wanted to be purposeful in my mission on life. And I feel as if that God has permitted me to do those things of service. To each of you who know me, you know I kiss everybody. And I hug everybody. And you just rub, but are you big enough for me to still get around you? But to each one of you, reach out and touch one another. Just reach out and touch one another. A lot of times we don't do enough of that, of just touching. And I say to each one of you, to God be the glory for permitting me to stand here and be able to be of service to you. Use me, Lord, until I'm no longer useful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love this job.
Next.
All right, now this time we have, I believe, 2 more presentations. Okay, very good. Thank you. She's always keeping me straight. We have 2 more presentations to make. Our city has been recognized in 2 different areas on the national level, and I think it needs to be applauded, and we all need to hear this at home, hear this about the great things and the great work that are going on within our communities, within our departments here, and all of the things that we do for you, the citizens. So the first award that I want to recognize is the Redevelopment and Housing Authority. Let's see here. Congratulations. Okay, do we want to do the other one first? I heard the music. Okay, all right. Congratulations to the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority for receiving the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials, which is NAHRO, Award of Excellence for Seaboard Square 1. NAHRO is a membership organization of 23,000 housing and community development agencies and professionals throughout the United States whose mission is to create affordable housing and safe, viable communities that enhance the quality of life for all Americans. NAHRO's membership administers more than 3 million housing units for 7.6 million people. So again, I say to PRHA, congratulations on your great work. I think about a year ago, we had the HUD secretary to come at the ribbon cutting of the Seaboard Square. Senator Mark Warner was here. I was out of the country, and actually Councilman Heretic was operating in my stead, and it was really refreshing to hear the comments coming from the HUD secretary about the city of Portsmouth and our 2 Hope 6 grants and the benefit that we had of having our senator, our congressman, all of our leaders here to hear that from the HUD secretary. So again, PRHA, our liaison members there, Mr. Heretic and Mr. Whitehurst, we want to again thank each and every one of you and PRHA for what you do and how you do it. So if we can, applause for PRHA. And then lastly, we have also received national recognition from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, the city of Portsmouth, through the National Award of Smart Growth Achievement. EPA recognizes and supports communities that use innovative policies and strategies to strengthen their economies, provide housing and transportation choices, develop in ways that bring benefits to a wide range of residents and protect the environment. The smart growth development practices support national environmental goals by preserving open space and parkland and protecting critical habitat. improving transportation choices, including walking, bicycling, and transit. When we actually was presented this award last week up in Washington, D.C. at EPA headquarters, and I was honored as mayor to go up and receive this award. So at this time, we got a brief 3-minute video that we want to show, and then we'll make this presentation to our city manager and the planning department and all of the great people here. Sir.
Almost a decade ago, the people of the city created a vision for its future. They envisioned the city to be a vibrant, mixed-use, sustainable community where folks could live, work, and play. Destination Portsmouth is the next step in the realization of that vision. Portsmouth has successfully done what thousands of communities across the U.S. are hoping to do, a full rewrite of our land use regulations that allow for our city to implement our community's vision. A vision of smarter, more sustainable growth.
When I think of one person who will benefit from the foundational elements of Destination Portsmouth, it really makes me think of 95,000 citizens. Because when you think about the ability to have sustainable, livable development in your community, just by changing some of your regulations, it's to the benefit of all.
By rezoning the entire city, Destination Portsmouth gives residents a choice on where to build their homes and allows them to connect back to our downtown core. People can now choose to build their homes on vacant lots like these and in neighborhoods that are within walking distance to schools, amenities, and downtown businesses, rather than being forced to build out in the suburbs.
The code really established a new foundation for the city.
One of the biggest areas of the city where we hope the Destination Portsmouth codes will make a big difference is here on London Boulevard, which is currently a commercial corridor and a limited access highway. The new codes will have developers add in street trees, pedestrian scale lighting, and new bike lanes so that when near future residential development begins, it'll transform this area into a mixed-use, livable portion of the city that has a lot of connectivity to our existing urban fabric.
So it becomes extremely exciting, again, for the sustainable development piece, to attract more people to that general area. You know, it's the things that really help crime go down because you have a presence of people.
So I'm here on High Street, and a couple of the great things that we hope to see in the near future under the Destination Portsmouth framework include all new infill redevelopment consisting of mixed-use buildings that have residential dwelling units, office space, and all new commercial. And for a multimodal corridor, we hope to have bike lanes along all of the streets, and even in the near future, some mass transit.
Where somebody now has the opportunity to kind of associate with where they work, actually live above, you know, where they eat their dinner, and then they actually can walk their dog that evening, you know, down the same street and really bring life to the street that normally was closed about 6 o'clock in the evening.
Coming from our industrial past, one of our greatest opportunities now is going to be our waterfront. The codes work to preserve the Chesapeake Bay by reducing stormwater runoff and enhancing water quality by limiting large surface parking lots and by promoting low-impact development solutions to prevent pollution from going back into the waterways. We are now, instead of turning our backs to the river, we're now able to use those for some real high-quality premium areas for redevelopment that most other cities don't have as a natural feature.
You know, with the military presence that we have here, the Coast Guard, the Navy, one of the older naval shipyards here as well, it really has created an opportunity for folks to be able to live, work, and play here.
So the Destination Portsmouth plans absolutely represent a huge leap forward in offering our existing residents and new residents choices that they didn't have before to come live back downtown, to come live back in our old historic neighborhoods. And these new residential homes, coupled with improvements that we're making along city streets, are going to allow folks to make those living choices that they didn't have as an option before.
there's one more.
Let me welcome Mayor Kenneth Wright of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia.
Good morning. First of all, let me thank the Environmental Protection Agency for this award and for, a city like Portsmouth. We were founded in 1752. We're 25 years older than America. An historic city like this, right in the heart of Hampton Roads, to be able to completely redo all of your regs, and to do that in a process, step by step, that involved all of our citizens and the elected officials. It's astounding. I don't know how many of you have tried to do that or how many of you will try to do that, but it is. But again, the key is to have the right people from top to bottom engaged throughout the process. We have two of our prime movers here that I want to recognize. The City Manager, Kenny Chandler. Would you please stand, sir? And our Director of Planning, Paul Hope. Would you please? Again, the City of Portsmouth is home to the oldest naval shipyard, the oldest naval medical facility, and a huge Coast Guard base, only 33 square miles. And to be able to take an old historic city like Portsmouth and do what we've been able to do as an elected official, you can imagine how that makes me feel. Now, I just entered into my second term as mayor. My first slogan was, "A new beginning for this historic city." And guess what my second slogan was? "A new beginning for this historic city." Imagine being able to pull that off in 2 consecutive times. But because of the initiatives and because of the smart growth principles, people resonated with it. And so hopefully in my third term, my slogan may be "A new beginning." All right, thank you. Now, at this time, I would like to ask our city manager and the fine folks in our planning department if you would please come up and accept this award, because again, you had to be in the room. Over 47 cities throughout the country were there. And our program in the category was programs and policies. We took first place. They were eager to understand how we, Portsmouth, took that initiative to basically redo everything. Okay, they were extreme. We beat out San Francisco, California, okay? And again, the Environmental Protection Agency actually went through and looked at everything that we did as a team. And in the afternoon session, that session there that we played was the morning session where I received the award. And at 5 o'clock that afternoon, we went to the Rayburn building over next to Capitol Hill, and we actually had a work session, if you will, that actually talked about it. In each city that won, it was a total of 5 that were there. We actually talked and had a panel discussion and talked about these things. And I got to share with you, our former city manager, Kenny Chandler, the first thing they wanted to know is how in the world were you, the city of Portsmouth, able to pull this off? And the first thing he said is it took elected officials like we have in Portsmouth to get behind the program and push it. And he must have, during his discussion, recognized our elected officials, citizens of Portsmouth, and this team about 3 times. And I'm standing over on the side with Congressman Bobby Scott, and he goes, "You know, that old boy's pretty good." I said, "No, he's very good." So, Mr. Rowe and your folks, it is my honor and pleasure to be able to go to Washington, D.C. and accept this on behalf of the city of Portsmouth. You make us all proud with what you do and all the work that you've done. So thank you and congratulations. Hold on. Good deal. Okay, and as I take my seat, is Mark Godoji Jatrowski here? Would you please stand, sir? I need to recognize him. I get to Washington, D.C. Now, folks, I got to tell you, I get in this room and we get ushered through security. We go through all of these mazes to get over in the green room. We meet the EPA administrator and all of the folks, take photo ops and all that, and we go into this crowded room of people. And the first person I see is this guy. And I'm sitting here going, oh my Lord. I thought we were in a council meeting in Portsmouth, but the video that you saw at the end of my acceptance speech was videoed by Mark, and I want to thank you, sir, for coming up to Washington, D.C. It means a lot. Thank you very much. Okay, Madam Clerk.
City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of your 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your remarks at that time. City Manager's Report 12-491. Adoption of a resolution requesting that the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development retain the current boundaries of the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission. Vision Principle, Efficient Responsive Government. Electronic roll call, and I have no registered speakers. Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This item is adopted 6-0. 12-492, adoption of a resolution designating honorary street names for the Blue Caps, Tommy Facenda, and Pepe Owens, and the Lighthouse, and requesting the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority to rename a certain parcel of land Gene Vincent Park. Vision Principle, Pride of Past, electronic roll call, and I have a registered speaker, Mr. Mark Godalda-Gutrovsky.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable members of council, and fellow citizens. Let me preface my remarks by saying happy holidays to everybody. I'm here for one reason only, and that is to read the text of this resolution. Normally, when council handles an item of this sort, the item is read by its title, and the full resolution is not read into the record. So it will appear in the minutes, but for the sake of those folks at home who haven't seen this, I want to devote my remarks to reading the text of the resolution. A resolution designating honorary street names for the Blue Caps, Tommy Facenda, and Pepe Owens, and the Lighthouse, and requesting the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority to rename a certain parcel of land Gene Vincent Park. Whereas one of the greatest bands in the formative years of rock and roll was Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps, and whereas Gene Vincent, who was born Eugene Vincent Craddock with one D, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998, presented by John Fogerty, and the Blue Caps were inducted in 2012, presented by Smokey Robinson. And whereas the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame website states, in Britain, Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps were stars to a budding generation of musicians who would go on to form such bands as the Beatles and the Yardbirds. And whereas the band's greatest hit, Bebopalula, has been covered by numerous major rock artists, including John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Carl Perkins, the Everly Brothers, the Stray Cats, and Jerry Lee Lewis, as well as the title of the song being included in the lyrics of Dire Straits' song Walk of Life, and the legendary guitarist Jeff Beck has recorded an entire album of Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps songs. And whereas Gene Vincent and the Blue Caps were a Portsmouth band initially formed at Vincent's house on Lecky Street, where they rehearsed and wrote songs, and whereas the Blue Caps included Portsmouth resident Tommy Bubba Facenda as a backup singer, choreographer, and arranger, and whereas Facenda, a graduate of St. Paul's High School, now Portsmouth Catholic High School, still resides in Portsmouth in Park Manor, and whereas Facenda also had success in his own name with the song High School USA, which became a #1 national hit, and he recorded on the Atlantic record label at the same time as his friend, Portsmouth musical legend Ruth Brown. And after various other life adventures, he returned to Portsmouth and had an honorable career as a member of the Portsmouth Fire Department under Chief Odell Benton. And whereas the Blue Caps were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame largely because of strong support and lobbying efforts by numerous prominent British musicians, including Paul McCartney, Rod Stewart, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, and Ron Wood, and also actor Richard Gere. And whereas at roughly the same time, during the early days of rock and roll, Portsmouth resident Peppy Owens, who grew up in Parkview, established and ran one of the premier concert venues in the nation, known as the Lighthouse on Victory Boulevard. And whereas at the time the Lighthouse became Portsmouth's equivalent of the famed Fillmore West Auditorium in San Francisco and the Fillmore East in New York City, and whereas Owens brought many extraordinary musicians to Portsmouth to play at the Lighthouse before they achieved national fame, including the Allman Brothers, the Kingsmen, the Box Tops, thank you, Grand Funk Railroad, Deep Purple, Rufus Thomas, the Four Aces, the Swinging Machine, and Portsmouth's own Bill Deal and the Rondells. And many of these musicians, including Greg and Dwayne Allman, stayed at his house in Hodges Manor while playing here and have remained his friends for life. And whereas, and this is probably, to me, the most important section of this resolution, whereas the Lighthouse was at the vanguard of breaking down the barriers of segregation by welcoming black and white young people to attend and enjoy events there together, while many other entertainment facilities were still segregated by race, and it was a safe and clean haven for young people to have fun, regardless of race or economic status, and this was an inspiring, formative experience for many young Portsmouth residents during the 1960s and 1970s. And whereas one former teenage patron of the Lighthouse, now a successful Las Vegas entertainer, describes it as a kind of wonderland, a doorway through which I learned a lot about myself. And whereas, prior to establishing the Lighthouse, Owens worked at NASA on space exploration projects, including Mercury and Gemini, and he was the first human being to see the dark side of the moon from photos taken by a NASA reconnaissance satellite, and in more recent years, he has served his native city by service on multiple citizen boards and commissions, including the Clean Community Commission, Chairman, the Portsmouth Fine Arts Commission, the Portsmouth History Commission, Chairman, the Mayor's Sister City Commission, the Mayor's Military Affairs Commission, and the West Parkview Civic League President. And whereas it is fitting and proper that Portsmouth takes some official action to recognize Gene Vincent, the Blue Caps, Tommy Facenda, and Pepe Owens, all of whom helped create American music as we know it today, and all of whom have brought honor to Portsmouth. I'm going to stop there.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This item is adopted 6-0. 12-493, adoption of a motion accepting the 2013 calendar of City Council meetings, vision principle, efficient, responsive government, electronic roll call, and I have no registered speakers. Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you're voting electronically. This item is adopted 6-0. New business 12-494, boards and commissions. Councilman Moody.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, members of council, we have a few appointments to make tonight. Economic Development, Dean Thomason and Jonas Thompson, Jr. Planning Commission, Yolanda Thomas.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you'll be voting electronically. This has been adopted 6-0. 12-495, items submitted by council members. For your first item, Mr. John Rowe will call forward for the audit.
Whoops. I'm going to ask our Chief Financial Officer, Carol Swindell, to come forward to the lectern and introduce our independent auditor.
Good evening. I'm pleased tonight to introduce to you Mr. Bob Belot, who is the partner in charge of our audit. He's with Cherry Baker in Holland. They're a local CPA firm, and they do the audits for a number of cities in the area. And he's here tonight to present the results of the fiscal year 2011-12 audit to you as required by state law.
Thank you. Carol. Welcome, sir.
Mayor Wright, good to see you, members of council. Good evening. I am here tonight to deliver the results of that audit. I actually have 3 opinions that I'm going to deliver to you tonight. I do have some required communications relative to the conduct of the examination that I'm required to give you in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. With that said is the good news. It is an unqualified or an unmodified opinion this year. That is the best you can get out of your independent CPA firm. That opinion is a clean opinion on the basic financial statements and their fair presentation. That is a value-added statement to your financial statements. It lends credence to the numbers of outside users of these statements, that these balances actually exist and these transactions actually occurred. During the past year, there were no material transactions or balances that lack authoritative consensus within that body of literature known as generally accepted accounting principles. We also apply procedures to test your compliance with laws and regulations that may be material to those financial statements, and that is contained in a couple of other opinions that I'll go over in just a moment. The financial statements are yours. The responsibility for a fair presentation remains with you. Our responsibility is to express opinions on those financial statements based on that audit. To accomplish that audit and set our risk assessment of the chance that there may be a material misstatement in these financial statements, We review and document your system of internal control, not to opine on internal control, but rather to assist us in determining our audit procedures. The next opinion is done in accordance with government auditing standards, or as you may know it, the Yellow Book. The government auditing standards hold us to a slightly higher tier than does generally accepted standards by the American Institute and the Auditing Standards Board. In particular, in reference to our independence, I'm pleased to report to you tonight that Cherry Beckert and Holland, myself, and all members of my audit team are, were, and remain independent of the City of Portsmouth. In conjunction with government auditing standards, those standards require us to test your compliance with laws and regulations that may be material to these financial statements. In addition, government auditing standards entails specifications for audits of counties, cities, and towns as promulgated by the Commonwealth of Virginia through the Auditor of Public Accounts. That report is contained in the back of the document that you have in front of you this evening, and I congratulate you on that. That is a clean opinion where we identified no material deficiencies. Lastly is the third report, and possibly one of the most important. It has to do with what's known as the single audit, or your compliance with laws and regulations for major programs over federal expenditures of federal awards. You can appreciate that a lot of federal money runs through the City of Portsmouth. I want to, not looking at it in front of me at the moment, it's in excess of $40-some million that comes through here for various grants and programs that support both the city and the community, as well as the education division of the city. We also perform compliance tests in accordance with the OMB A133, which is the single audit, and we express an unqualified opinion on that. I congratulate you on that. Note 1 to the financial statements contains certain significant accounting policies. Those are policies where there are acceptable alternatives within the accounting literature, such as straight line depreciation versus declining balance depreciation, and so on. I encourage you to read those along with the basic statements. During this past year, there were no new accounting policies that were adopted, and all existing policies have been consistently applied. The preparation of financial statements requires management to make estimates. Estimates are based on past events and current trends, as well as assumptions about future events. Conditions may change, requiring revisions to those estimates, and they could be material. An example of an estimate would be allowance for uncollectible accounts on your receivables, your actuarially determined claims liability for workers' compensation claims and general liability claims, and oh, by the way, OPEB, which everybody has become familiar with over the last 3 or 4 years. Lastly, I report that there were no disagreements with management this past year. We had absolutely no difficulty in dealing with your finance department or anybody involved in the management system of the City of Portsmouth. And there were no consultations with other accountants. A consultation is akin to gaining a second opinion or challenging our audit opinion or the application of an accounting principle. Our professional standards require a consulting accountant to consult with us first to make sure they have all the facts. I report to you that there were no such consultations this past year. That concludes my formal comments. If there's questions, please.
Thank you very much.
Mayor?
Questions, anybody? Thank you, sir.
Mayor Wright, thank you.
Thank you.
John?
Council members, at this time, we're in need of a motion to add an item to your agenda.
So moved.
For a second. Okay.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second, and you're voting electronically. This item has been adopted 6-0. At this time, we're in need of a motion to adopt the resolution that council has received, as well as the public in the audience, a resolution accepting the FY 2011-12 audit as being timely prepared and filed. Mayor, we have a motion and a second. And at this time, because this was not an advertised item, we will open the floor to the public. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the proposed resolution accepting the FY 2011-12 audit as being timely prepared and filed, at this time, please come forward, give your name and address, and you will have up to 5 minutes to speak on this item. Members of City Council, there are no speakers. Please vote electronically.
Okay.
This item has been adopted 6-0. Council members. Okay. Yeah. He's not speaking.
Okay, all right, go. Councilman Whitehurst. Vice Mayor, I'm sorry.
May I have a motion? Mr. Mayor, I move that we amend the agenda to add an item providing for separation agreement for the city attorney.
Is there a second? Okay.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second to add an item to your agenda, and you'll be voting electronically.
Okay, Ms. Randall.
To vote.
Vote, yeah.
This item has been adopted 6-0.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the City Council accept the resignation of the city attorney effective December 31st of this year, that you be authorized and directed to sign the separation agreement substantially the same as which I is attached to this motion.
Okay. Second.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second on this motion, and you will be voting electronically. This motion is adopted 6-0. I've also been asked to read the separation agreement.
Yes, I was going to say, if you would read the separation agreement in its entirety, please.
Yes, sir. This separation agreement made and entered into this 12th day of December, should be 11th, 2012, by and between the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, and G. Timothy Oaksman, employee, provides as follows. A, the employee as employed by the city as its city attorney since August 1st, 1995. B, the employee has made many valuable contributions to the city during his tenure as city attorney, including but not limited to helping to eliminate large amounts of private and public blighted housing, including Fairwood Homes, Washington Park, and the River Edge Apartments, helping to negotiate and structure major development projects, including the Renaissance Portsmouth Hotel, Ocean Marine Yachting Center, multi-use development of the former Churchland High School site, the Middle Street Garage, the Social Services Building, the Hoffler Creek Wildlife Center, the Paradise Creek Nature Park, helping to lead a corporate turnaround of the Southeast Public Service Authority, and relocation of rail service to the APM terminal from West Norfolk Road to Route 164. The employee has also successfully defended every major lawsuit brought against the city during his tenure and has initiated lawsuits against other parties, resulting in the payment of several $1 million to the city and its taxpayers. The employee also formed a Safe Communities Task Force that succeeded in eliminating blighting influences from many neighborhoods throughout the city. He played a major role in blocking construction of the proposed ethanol refinery. He has served as the city's primary liaison with the maritime community for over 17 years and has maintained high loyalty, stability, and morale within the law department. C, the city acknowledges and expresses its appreciation for these valuable achievements made by the employee, and the employee acknowledges and expresses his appreciation for being given the opportunity to serve the good citizens of Portsmouth. However, City Council has requested the resignation of the employee. According in exchange for mutual consideration, the value and sufficiency of which are hereby stipulated, the parties do hereby agree as follows. Agreement. 1, the employee hereby voluntarily resigns as city attorney of the City of Portsmouth, effective at midnight, December 31st, 2012. 2, the city will pay severance to the employee in the amount of salary and benefits at its current rate of compensation for a period of 12 months to be paid bi-weekly. Benefits include car allowance, family health insurance coverage, defense and coverage for possible lawsuits, and payments for unused medical leave. The employee shall unused annual leave, excuse me. The employee shall not earn additional annual leave or medical leave during this period. The employee waives and releases any and all claims he might have at the time of executing this agreement against the city and any of its officials or employees, past and present, arising out of or during his employment with the city, including but not limited to claims arising under his employment contract dated June 28, 2004. The city waives and releases any and all claims, if any, it might have at the date of executing this agreement arising out of the employee's employment with the city. This agreement is a Virginia agreement. It shall be interpreted pursuant to Virginia law. It may be modified only in writing. If the city fails to honor this agreement, the employee shall be entitled to reasonable attorney fees incurred in defending his rights hereunder. For any possible dispute arising hereunder, the Circuit Court of the City of Portsmouth shall have sole and exclusive jurisdiction, and is to be signed by Mayor Kenneth Wright and Mr. Oaksman.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. All right. Are there any other items to be submitted by council members at this time?
Any items?
Okay.
All right.
12-496, report on pending items, and Ms. Dana Woodson will be doing the honors this evening.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Whitehurst, members of City Council. At this time, I present the non-agenda speakers update for the council meeting on November 27, 2012, on behalf of City Ombudsman Bernadette Hogg. There were 9 non-agenda speakers at the council meeting on November the 27th. 3 of the speakers required action by staff. Sinise Johnson spoke about the conditions of the tennis courts in Cavalier Manor. Since the November 27th council meeting, Ms. Johnson has met with staff to provide information about a contractor who specializes in tennis court resurfacing. Sharon Jackson and Ruth Goodhart asked City Council to review the current zoning ordinance in regards to poultry. In the 2010 zoning ordinance, the code sections that allowed the keeping of poultry or bees was removed. The term poultry is defined in the ordinance, but it is not listed as either an accessory use or a permitted use in any district. As with all uses, if a particular use is not listed for a district, by its omission, it's not allowed. For those individuals who legally began keeping chickens between 1991 and May of 2010, these sites can continue this activity as long as there is no increase in the number of approved chickens and/or use is not halted for a period greater than 2 years. The following is the result of a canvassing of other Hampton Roads communities. The City of Norfolk currently does not allow chickens. The City of Suffolk allows chickens in the following zoning districts: agricultural, rural estate, and rural residential. The City of Chesapeake recently passed an ordinance which allows up to 6 chickens in a single-family residential district. The applicant must meet all setback requirements and the chickens be placed in a coop. Virginia Beach currently does not allow chickens in residential districts. This ends the report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 12-497, non-agenda speakers. Our first speaker is Ms. Linda Ridenhour, and she's followed by Mr. Lee Cherry.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Whitehurst, council members. I'm Linda Ridenhour, a Portsmouth citizen, Park Manor resident. After being so inundated tonight with congratulations and good news, I feel it's become appropriate for me to bring the two items of good news I wanted you to have. I think it's very worth your knowing. The two areas deal with, again, something that is unique and specific only to Portsmouth. The first area concerns the education TV station, Channel 47. The channel has the name PSET, Portsmouth School Education TV, so I'll refer to it as that. It's been newly revised and is now a station of TV programs that are being produced and broadcast regularly throughout the month. It's no longer just a bulletin board of what's for lunch or when the meetings are going to be held, or the video of the school board meetings. Some of the programs I just want to inform you of at this point. One is called Eye on Health, and with community health personnel hosting and presenting that information. There's a program called Schoolwise, a 15-minute of school news that's presented with Maureen Mazzell hosting and interviewing the staff that are presenting a specific curriculum course or class. There's Get Connected, 30 minutes of technology from our Director of Instructional Technology, Karen Streeter, and she has tips about technology, Facebook, and other resources that are involving that. PSET Magazine, 30 minutes of in-depth information about a core area department. This week, I think Dr. Shepard is interviewing the science director and all of her staff and personnel. There's also an open mic program, 30 minutes, and it's similar to like a comedy club style program, featuring student performances of reading their poetry or other specific readings, monologues, music, student artist insights. And another program or another initiative, they have started a news bureau at all 3 high schools. And this is on-site development of 15 minutes of news and then 15 minutes of a sports review package. 9 students have been identified and recruited as interns to assist PSET during productions of different programs, and they are going to form eventually the core of the student TV production team, which will eventually be responsible 100% for the production of the open mic program. PSET now streams all such programs. You got a computer anywhere in the world, you can see what's happening in Portsmouth education. It is from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Just recently, they streamed the 14-hour VEX robotic competition at IC Norcom High School. Churchland High School won first place, and they're going to Anaheim, California to participate in national competition. And this is not just Lego robots. Some of the robots are as big as this platform here. Right now, this is the only school system that has this venue of programming with the advantage of streaming for public viewing. The only other item I wanted to mention was the fact that our Star-Base Victory program was invited to attend and present at the International Modulation and Simulation Industry Training Conference in Orlando, Florida. It's the largest modulation simulation conference in the world, hosting STEM initiatives in the medical and science fields, universities. The Navy was there, motion picture, Pixar type of technology. We were proud to be asked to participate and spotlight Portsmouth, its unique star-based victory that serves 4,000 plus students every year. Quite a few of the local districts in Florida were so impressed, they want to know how they can start such as this in their communities in Florida. Some more good news. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much.
That's a pretty pink tie you got on there.
Ms. Ridenhour, thank you very much. Let me say I was at the VEX regional competition Saturday, and I believe Churchland won it, but I think we had 2 teams to qualify. Churchland and IC Norcom are going to the world competition.
Oh,
I got a text from Maureen and Laura about that. So we've got 2 teams going to the world competition.
So Portsmouth is
absolutely.
Across the nation.
And I think last year we had 3 teams that went to Anaheim, California. I want to check on the location this time. I thought they told me it was in Orlando, but we'll get to that later.
That's where the conference was, Orlando.
The conference was there.
Is in Anaheim.
Okay, thank you very much. We want to applaud all of our students and our, absolutely.
Following Mr. Cherry is Sheriff Bill Watson.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Mr. Rowe, Sergeant, and I'd like to say, Councilman Heretic and Vice Mayor, thank you for the service that you've given our city. I have enjoyed over the years, you've ridden with me, we've developed a close friendship, and it's been my honor to know you and work with you, and I sincerely mean that. Tonight, Mr. Mayor, I bring you greetings from Senator Willard Moody and the members of the board of the Railroad Museum of Virginia. If you've been downtown lately riding around at night, and I saw you the other day, Mayor, out there, the train is lit. I think one of the things that makes Portsmouth outstanding, and just one of the things, is the museums and what we do this time of year. The museum is now open, as I said, and it's open on Fridays and Saturdays. General hours are from 10 to 4. It's quite exciting to see it and to go inside and see all of the artifacts. But the big news is Santa Claus is coming. And he's coming to the museum. On Friday the 14th, between 6 and 9, Santa Claus is going to be there, and I understand that he's going to be arriving with an escort and on a fire truck. On Saturday the 15th, he'll be there 5 to 8. On the 22nd, he'll be there from 5 to 8. And on the 23rd, from 4 to 7. During those dates, and they will be posted and they'll be in the paper, you'll be able to have your picture taken with Santa Claus sitting in his lap. So I'm asking everybody here on the dais to come sit in his lap. Mayor, we may...
I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't. We're going to test
we may
those
want to
Santa out.
discuss that, sir, but really, it should be a good time. It says an awful lot for our city, and I think that the museums we have in Portsmouth play off of each other. And this museum is certainly going to draw people to our city that will go to other museums. So we look forward to it. We look forward to this time of year. And I'm speaking tonight as a private citizen, but I must say that the work from the Sheriff's Department, turning my hat around, the inmate work crews that labored down there. We had one citizen that went by and saw the inmate work crews on it, called in, thought they were trying to take the train. That was not the case. They were putting lights on it. So we've had a lot of participation, but it's quite a feature. I thank you. I wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Good night. Well done.
Following Sheriff Watson is Mr. Clyde Toller.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, City Council. How y'all doing tonight? All right. Before I get started, there's one piece of trivia that Mark left out about Tommy Facenda. Now, before I went to Craddock High School, I went to St. Paul's. And now Tommy was a few years ahead of me, but I went to school with Tommy Facenda. And when he recorded High School USA, what most people don't know is he had to do 48 different versions of High School USA.
Oh, man.
Because on each recording, he had to list every high school in that state. So where most people would have to do one record, he had to do 48 records. So I didn't know if y'all knew that or not, so Mark missed that part. But I imagine that was one heck of a headache, and I mean, I knew Tommy very well, and y'all might know it, but believe it or not, when I was a teenager, I was a drummer in a rock and roll band and played at the Lighthouse. And I knew Tommy very well, and been on stage with the Swing Machine and Bill D on the Rondelles. And that was the good old days. And that's when we used to have the Battle of the Bands at Frank D. Lawrence Stadium. I don't know if you, in fact, I see Maury Cook sitting back there. He probably, you remember it, Maury? Yeah. But that was some good old days. But anyway, getting back to the original subject, I came down here to give y'all kudos, okay? Don't look so shocked, huh? But, you know, not long ago, you appointed a new fire chief, okay? He has brought the morale through the roof in the fire department, okay? Life is good for firefighters. They love him to death. You've got a real fire chief when you got Beck Barfield. And right after the first year, we want to dedicate the Seagrave fire engine that we restored to the local and let the city keep it in their name so we can keep the original tags and everything on it, but with the agreement it can never be sold. That way we can always keep it up and we can use it for parades. It's already been dubbed the Pearl of Portsmouth. Y'all seen it in the parades. But the main thing I'm here for tonight is our new city manager. And I'm gonna tell you what, I think y'all hit a home run, okay? Y'all appointed him on a Tuesday night, 2 weeks ago. Wednesday, he came to my office. I have never had a city manager come to my office. Never. With my luck, I was out in the field on a project. He wasn't, you know, I wasn't there when he came by. But we're going to try to get together and do some lunch. But he came by just to say hi, to see what he could do to help me. I was so flabbergasted when I found out. He left a note on my desk. And John, I want to let you know, I really do appreciate you coming by. I think you're going to be a fantastic city manager. You've always been known to be a very fair man. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know there's only so much can be done in the city of Portsmouth with the budget is right now. We're hurting for money. But I think he's a financial wizard, and he's going to pull us out. It might take some time, but he's going to pull us out of the slump we're in. And I can tell you right now that since he's taken over as city manager, the morale in the city has come up. I know the city garage is ecstatic. They think he's the best thing since sliced bread. So, but I just want to tell y'all, thank you very much for using some common sense. You put a Portsmouth boy in here, you put another Portsmouth boy in the fire department, and I've been trying to tell y'all for years, you need to promote from within, because everybody that you promote from within has a vested interest in this city. That's the main thing. Why hire people from out of town? We've got all the talent right here. I think he's a prime example. I think Beck Barfield's a prime example. So maybe y'all can put your thinking caps on and let's start doing that from now on. Let's promote from within the city, from our own people, okay? I want y'all to have a Merry Christmas, and if y'all need anything, I'm just a phone call away. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Following Mr. Toller is Mr. Steve Carroll.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. It's good to be here. Mr. Rowe, good to see you. We go way back. You left here with a very excellent way. But now be careful. Be very careful. Don't let this council here astonish your good record. It can't happen. I've seen it happen here. Anyway, to Major Whitehurst and to Attorney Stevens, I want to say thank you for your service. You have served this city and the council very great. And I take my hat off to you. I know I'm on a mission because I won't hear the big D no more. You know what I'm talking about. Major Whitehurst, Semper Fi, always faithful. But anyway, we got new elect Councilman Simmons and Councilman Meek coming to the council in January. As you know, this is the last of these two, the vice mayor and the council. This has been a very bad 2 years. Now I hope this year coming up, that we're going to come to be a family again. We have become to be a gang. Get rid of this. We're going to be a family again like we always been. Cut out all this arguing and fussing. We ain't going to have that no more. We the citizen is getting sick of that. If you sit out here where I sit, you hear this, it's a shame the way some of you behave. Don't do that come the new year. And on this end, the left of you, Mr. Whitehurst, on the left of you, I want to hear once Councilor Simmons and Councilor Meek get on here, I don't want to hear no more everything move for approve by second. I want somebody to come up there and start saying something, bringing something to this council besides always Mr. Moody. Mr. Cherry is not here, but I say this to him. Speak up and bring something to this council. You're laying down on the job. You got to step up. I tell it like it is, whether you like it or not. But anyway, this has been a good year. And this is the time, citizen of Portsmouth, all of you, it's time for all of us to dig deep in our pockets and give to those who are poor and needy. Hey, we need this in this city. I was at a church Sunday, Twine Memorial, Pastor Michael Porter. He fed the whole church out of his pocket. I couldn't believe that. This is the first time in my 86 years long that I've been living. I ain't never seen a minister feed a whole church, guests and all. And if I'd have known this before, I'd have got a second plate. I wouldn't have to cook. But Twine Memorial Church is right up there on County Street. I have never seen a minister. He works every day. He works in the hospital, in the emergency room. People going to get cut, he pray for him, but he's a good minister. But anyway, I never seen anybody. But he gave back something to the peoples. And then he served on the line, him and his wife. You know, that's a great thing. So some of you up here, let's see you serve somewhere. Maybe Oasis. Let's see you on the counter there and do a little serving, okay? It'll be nice. I want to understand one thing here. Did I understand that Mr. Oakson is leaving us? Very quiet individual man, very nice. I always liked him. He ride his hog. That's a motorcycle, in case y'all don't know, not a wild hog. But anyway, I hate to see him go, but when you got to go, you got to go. But anyway, I don't want to see none of these citizens of this city, none of you that's in here, coming up in a couple, 6, 8 months, coming up here hollering, you got to go. Now, you done elected these people to the city council, the mayor and all. Now, you elected them. So now let's pick up the piece. You either back them or you don't back them. But we got to stop all this feud that we got going on in Portsmouth because we're being talked about, and that's not good. We talk about the good things up here, but we're not talking about our bad things. But I'm going to tell you about your bad things. Stop acting bad, love one another. And they say, will a man lie? Yes, a man will lie. I haven't lied to the council, but some of you up there have lied to a citizen. But a woman will lie too, so I put it that way too. So I'm not letting them off the hook. Anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to the fire department, the fire chief, and the sheriff watching. I take my hat off to Sheriff Watson, his crew, go one for him, old citizen like me will be hurt. But they'll come do anything for you. So anyway, happy holidays.
Same to you. Good night, sir.
Following Mr. Carroll is Ms. Barbara Williams.
Evening, Mayor, members of council and staff. My name is Steve Carroll. I reside at 3112 River Ridge Drive. I've obtained some information and done some research regarding the relocation of the current jail. On August 4th, 2012, Council passed a resolution to implement our downtown master plan, including the current jail and courts. This letter I have a letter dated August 15th from you, Mayor, that requests the superintendent of the regional jail to consider or accept or deny the transfer of the entire Portsmouth jail population as soon as possible. That letter also appears via the resolution to direct the city manager to seek other options to relocate our jail population to other locations with even more urgency. These documents indicate that the Portsmouth cost that I have here to house our current inmates, including utilities, is approximately $8.3 million a year. If we do transfer those inmates, that cost will escalate $6.5 million a year to approximately $15 million a year. That's a huge increase. These documents are derived from Regional Jail and Virginia Compensation Board worksheets. They are not off-the-cuff figures. Not only is the cost to house prisoners at the regional jail considerably higher than the city jail now, per the regional jail's own projection worksheets, the per diem cost they charge member cities will increase an average of 42% from 2013 to 2017. I distinctly recall a recent exchange between Councilman Moody and you, Mayor Wright, and Councilman Moody's comment was, "What's the hurry? I'm not aware of any current development plans for that site." Before you, Council, is a payback estimate for relocating the jail's population to the regional jail. Now, my figures are crude, but they're clear enough to make a point. If we assume $40 million to replace the jail or to expand the regional jail, it will take a $50 million investment based on the current tax rate to get a 63-year payback. That's not very good. It will take a $150 million commercial investment to get a payback in 21 years. Now, the point here is, what's the purpose of relocating the jail? If we don't have anything on the table, then I have to assume that there's something under the table. That's not good either. Or there's no plan at all. So I'll repeat the question that's been asked numerous times. What is the justification for moving the jail? The sheriff has presented documentation along with Lieutenant Cherry of what it will cost, and this was done a long time ago, and we get no response from council. What is the justification? Before you answer my question, a few tidbits for you to consider. A recent pilot story reported that our pension plans are only 35%, one of our plans is only 35% funded, where it should be 80% funded. Where's the money going to come from to fund it? The original northbound Churchland Bridge, which was built in 1950, is an engineering shambles and has to be replaced immediately. The last estimate I got to replace that bridge was $25 million. Where's that money going to come from? According to our CFO's report, our school board illegally appropriated $52 million from the taxpayers of this city. What could we do with that money right now if we still had it? Councilman Heretic, a recent article in the paper, you were appalled that $114,000 was recently pumped into CCDI. What does it take to get you appalled over $52 million being circumvented from this city council and from the taxpayers of this city? And last of all, who was upholding the Constitution when that $52 million was improperly circumvented? I witnessed the oath of our newest members being elected to the school board. They all raised their hand and took an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Virginia. Who was upholding that oath when that money was circumvented? We just...
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Barbara Williams, and she's followed by Ms. Dolores Knight.
Good evening, Council. My name is Barbara Williams. I'm here to address...
Excuse me, Ms. Williams. Can you adjust the microphone, please? Thank you.
Yes, I'm here to talk about our refuge bill. We are blessed to live in the King Square apartments on County Street, but we feel that our utility bill is extremely too high for a trash for two persons. It's $33 and some change, and for trash for 6 people, it's $33 and some change. We don't think that's right. We don't think that's fair. And we need to talk to somebody. We need to talk to somebody about that, how you go about assessing the bill. And, excuse me, I have my sister here, Miss Cheryl Eaton, and she has been trying to get into the Portsmouth Redevelopment. I wrote this down, I can't find it. She has been trying to get into the Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing Authority. She's an abused and battered disabled person. And she's been down to the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing, and she's done what they asked her to do, but evidently it just didn't work out, and we need some help as far as that, getting her some housing. And my neighbor, she's deaf. I didn't know that she wasn't going to be able to hear and understand, and she wrote down some stuff for me to ask you all. If you all could do something about the crosswalks at the bus stops. Being that she's deaf, she can't hear the buses come up like a normal person would, and most of the time she's left. Can you help us with that? That's it.
Where did you say you lived again?
On County Street, 1400 County, King Square.
King Square?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Dolores Knight. And she's followed by Mr. Lamar Price.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor Whitehurst, Council, and citizens. My name is Dolores Knight, and I reside at 33 Kennedy Drive. The city must know what a good neighbor Wheelabrator is to our Craddock Civic League and the residents. Paul Greco is looking for ways to assist the Civic League and the neighborhood, working with the Elizabeth River Project, updating the plant equipment, and just adding a new missing deodorant neutralizer and systems and all the way around the building, and recently bought a street sweeper, which they add the deodorant neutralizer to sweep the entrance and exit of the plant and Victory Boulevard. There is a CAC, which is Citizens Advisory Committee, that was formed in 2006 through Portsmouth City for Craddock and Truxton areas because we had so many problems with SIPSA. So this committee is still active, and we meet with the Wheelabrators quarterly, not monthly anymore. But the trouble is we don't have any representation from the city any longer, and we haven't in a while. After it was, a councilman was appointed, and when he left, our backup was Steve Hurtick. We never saw Steve Hurtick at our meetings. Instead, another council member was appointed, and then Tim Oaksman came on board. And when he didn't attend, when Tim Oaksman didn't attend, he would present someone in his place, but we never knew who it was going to be. So now we have no one from the city for approximately a year, nor DEQ representatives in years. And I always send an email the first of the week or Tuesday of the same week. So this Thursday night is our meeting, and it's at the Wheelabrator plant at 7 p.m. I understand that the city attends the Wheelabrator meetings at the Chesapeake office, but sometimes we have questions that should be discussed with answers to our board by city representatives. Just like having a city environmental inspector at our Civic League meetings. And so we can ask questions, and he would give us answers and discussions and give us ideas and dates and whatever comes up. And by the way, our city Civic League meeting was last Tuesday, right behind the fire department in Craddock. And we had no representation from the fire department. As I spoke at the meeting on November 27th, that was a week, and no one from the fire department showed up. So there still is an issue with that. We're right behind at the NEAT office is where we meet. I have my notes to speak on the skate park, but my time ran out last time. But Councilman Moody mentioned something about the skate park. Yes, the city promised us a 3-phase park and set aside $300,000 for it. First phase was to be a skate park, then a basketball court, and the third a kiddie park with benches for families to watch their children play. You must understand all these phases were to be built where the George Washington Park had been years ago. Not having to make a place or find the land or pay for anything, the money was there. The money was moved by the city, so the Civic League board had to come up and ask the city to find the money to restore it to the Craddock citizens so we could have a skate park. Well, I must tell you, the skate park we've had it for 2 years, not 4. The other 2 phases has never happened, and this has been 4 years. So please finish the George Washington Craddock Park. I know some of you have excuses, and some of you were not on council 4 years ago. Check the files and please complete an old project before paying for a study for removing the jail on the waterfront. Almost 3 years is an issue for the Craddock High School. Mayor, you know what I'm referring to, and this is not how you do business with a Portsmouth native citizen and the builder who wants to better Craddock in our community. What is the real problem here? There's a lot more issues I could express, but I really don't want to put too much on your plate at one time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Councilman Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Knight, one of the things that you mentioned was the skate park and the funding for that. Ironically, just a week or 2 ago, I asked about that. I asked staff to refresh my memory on what happened there. I remember there were 3 phases. First phase was the skate park, which was built, and there was a basketball piece, which I think was going to be the 3rd phase, or the 2nd phase, as you say. But I don't recall what the other phase is. But the important thing is, I think the amount of money, as in July the 09, was $334,000. I do know that $200,000 was reprogrammed for that purpose to build the skate park complex. I don't believe it took all of $200,000. I think it was right around a $125,000, $125,000. So. And I want to thank our Deputy Manager, Godfrey, for doing some research. Did I get those figures right, Mr. Godfrey? Anything you can add to that?
Yes, sir. You got them correct. Yeah, $200,000 was reprogrammed by City Council in 2009 right. From a CIP item that was originally set aside for athletic field improvements at Craddock, and of course that didn't happen. So $200,000 was set aside for the skate park, and about $125,000 was used for the actual skate park. There was not, that line was not reappropriated in future capital budgets. So there is not currently an item in the current year budget or the CIP for additional improvements at George Washington Park.
Thanks. And the reason why that came about, because we were, our agreement with the Navy at St. Julian's was set to expire. Negotiations were ongoing, and we had to have a plan B just in case the Navy didn't want to continue with that agreement, which on a positive note, they did continue with it, so we didn't need to build a new ball field complex. So the skate park was built, and I think it's been so long since that conversation on the basketball piece occurred, we would probably, Mayor, probably need to have another conversation with the Civic League and bring some other folks into that conversation at this point to see if they, if the community still wants that element. But I think overall that's part of the conversation overall on recreation in the whole city. But thank you, Ms. Knight, for bringing that to our attention, and thank you, Mr. Godfrey, for the follow-up on that.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Edmonds.
Thank you, Mayor. I couldn't get to my buzzer quick enough before Miss Barbara Williams sat down.
Oh.
And I'd like to see if Miss Dina Woodson from the Ombudsman office might be able to give her some direction and help. So if you could see her and hook up with her after the meeting is over with, might be able to bring some solution to what you're seeking.
Thank you. Ms. Randall?
Yes, mine is also reference to Ms. Barbara.
Okay, fine.
By virtue of that many of those residents are having problems with trash, waste management issues, and they have been talking about that quite a bit within the community. And I would like for someone to follow through in addressing the concerns that is coming concerning that trash and the fees that you all are paying for that. So I would like someone to get with them and address that, because that's a major concern and it is happening with several of the residents in that area.
Okay. Thank you. We got it. Thanks, Ms. Randall. Very good. All right, Madam.
Our next speaker is Mr. Lamar Price, and he's followed by Ms. Donna Sy.
Good evening, Mayor White, Vice Mayor Whitehurst, and distinguished members of the council, fellow citizens of Portsmouth. My name is Lamar Price. I am a current resident of Churchland, lifelong resident outside of my military service. And I'll preface this by saying that I attended all Churchland schools throughout my career. I went to Churchland Primary, Churchland Academy, junior high, and graduated from Churchland High. And I never thought that I would see the day where there had been formation of gangs and gang-related activity in the Churchland section of Portsmouth. And doing, my due diligence and further research and being very familiar with the city, in the military I learned, it's everybody can address problems, but you always should also have a solution. And I feel that the solution to this problem in Churchland is the fact that we don't have any rec centers. If you look, Mount Hermon has a rec center. Cavalier Manor has a gym. You even have a rec center right here on Elm Street. But in the section of Portsmouth and Churchland where I live, there's nothing. And there's no outlet for the youth. And, I hate to bring up such a tragic incident, but the incident where the pizza delivery man was killed or murdered a few years back, it broke my heart for the family of that man. The fact that he had to deal with that, but what even struck more of a chord with me was the fact that the young man that committed that crime, I coached him in basketball and rec league. And, during the time when we had rec going on and the children have a place to go, or the youth have somewhere to go, there's more structure and there's more things for them to do. And it's during that time where there's nowhere to go and there's a lot of idle time, that's when you have a lot of activities as such. And I feel like that contributed to that. And I see all these wonderful plans for the city of Portsmouth, and I think it's great. I would never stand in the way of growth. But I would just say tonight, while we're considering growing Portsmouth, before we put so much of our efforts into attracting new trees into Portsmouth, let's not ignore the seeds that we already have here planted. And I think the youth of Churchland have been ignored. I will say this also, I know earlier in reference to like the chickens, I noticed that the city validated their points by checking with the other cities. And I would say the same thing in regards to a rec center in Churchland. If you go to Chesapeake, and I have in Norfolk and Virginia Beach, all of the neighborhoods have community centers. And like I said, right here in Portsmouth, you have certain areas in Portsmouth that have their own rec center. And I feel like as a resident, a lifelong resident of Churchland, Mayor, I'm with you. It's time for new beginnings. And I feel like Portsmouth, Churchland in particular, has been ignored in this aspect, and I think it's time to make that change. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Following Ms. Sy is Mr. Mark Cook.
Good evening. My name is Donna Sy. I live in the Woodbine Farm section of Churchland. Principle of Liberty 27. The burden of debt is as destructive to our freedom as slavery is to a man's soul. Municipal freedom flows directly from the doctrine of the sovereignty of the people. The people's sovereignty blends with their customs and then supported by the city's laws. City institutions bring freedom within people's reach and give them the enjoyment and practice using their unalienable rights for peaceful ends. City council are the executives of the will of the people. If city council were to introduce some change in the established order of things, they need to return to the source of their power, the citizens. City council is no longer returning to the source of their power. As a result, the citizens are incurring major debts. These debts are a serious danger to our liberty. There was a high degree of equality among the first settlers. Liberty and equality at that time was based on intellect and virtue. Every individual took on an equal share in their sovereign power and participated equally in their government because they were enlightened, virtuous, and morally strong. Today, the citizens' freedoms are destroyed by city council auctioning off our souls to obtain debts. These debts are creating tension in our city between equality and freedom. Our liberty and equality have the face of money, not common sense, virtue, or moral strength. City council has forgotten its role to provide equal rights, not provide equal things. Prior to the Revolutionary War, people realized they lacked public virtue or patriotism. They weren't involved in the affairs of government. Their obsession was self-interest, neglected public affairs, and disdained the needs of the community as a whole. British influence was taking its toll. The call for independence took on a tone of urgency. By separating from the British monarch, King George III, and instituting a republic, the people realized the social image of the Enlightenment, or self-determination. If the 13 colonies had not revolted, their thriftiness, industry, and simplicity of manners would have been lost by imitating the British extravagance, idleness, and false refinements. Have we reverted to a time where we are no longer enlightened, self-determined, or empowered? Have we lost our sense of thriftiness, industry, and simplicity of manners to replace them with desires for equality? This desire for equality has replaced our freedom with burdensome taxes to pay off our debts. The Revolutionary War occurred because King George was taxing the people without representation. The citizens of Portsmouth are taxed excessively, so others who aren't paying can live extravagantly in their idleness. City Council needs to look at our planning department way of doing business. The planning department has a major influence on the reason we have excessive taxes and debts. For example, the Virginian pilot heading, Portsmouth Money Pit. Portsmouth is looking at repaying HUD $313,000 for three properties that went into foreclosure. The city has paid a business $569,000 since November. At the Planning Commission work session, the school board plans to rezone 2801 Turnpike Road to make a new school administrative office, house the DAC Center and New Direction School, make a bus parking lot and a bus maintenance center. In July 2009, the school board sold PRHA 4 acres out of the 18 acres for almost $290,000. The school board promised to put the money into a capital improvement fund. What happened to the $56 million surplus? Lastly, Fire Chief B.E. Barfield, the key is collaboration. A lot of people make mistakes by thinking they have to be the one who knows everything or that they have to be smartest one in the organization. I want everyone around me to be smarter than me because my job is to gather that information, get the alternative, get the scenarios, get their input, and then make a decision. City Council needs to learn to use collaboration with the citizens of Portsmouth to get rid of our overwhelming debt. Thanks for listening.
Our next speaker is Mr. Maury Cook, and he's followed by Ms. Sharice Spencer.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, council members, Mr. City Manager, I thank you for this opportunity to speak, and especially our citizens of Portsmouth. I would like to request another 4 to 5 minutes, Mr. Mayor and council members. I am an introvert, so I'm not asking for it because I want to be up here, but I think I have something to say, and I've only spoken 3 times in 68 years.
You have 5 minutes, Mr. Cook. Please proceed.
No extra?
Not at this point. No, sir.
23 years ago, my wife and I had a vision, a dream of a city with a black and white, rich and poor would work together in mutual trust and respect for the good of the whole community. My wife, Audrey, and I invited 50 people to our front yard, to have coffee and explore ways that we could work together with small groups. Out of that came the Center for Community Development. Now CCDI faces closing its doors. In November of 2011, the City of Portsmouth brought a conflict of interest charge against CCDI and sent it to HUD, the source of our funding. Through HUD, though HUD has since cleared us of this charge, we have still received no funding. In contrast, we have worked well with the City of Newport News, where we have completed 6 housing projects. This saddens me, not for myself or my vision, but for the city I love. I am sad I did not see the mean-spirited attack level on CCDI. Our volunteers and staff have introduced well over 1,600 young people around Hampton Roads to the steel drum, African drum, African dance, and creative writing. They have also trained 1,500 teenagers and mentors to practice mindfulness, a discipline that helps deal with anger, attention disorders, and anxiety issues. Further, our volunteers have loaned over $3 million in loans to very small businesses that banks would normally not deal with. Monique Harrell and Steve Hagwood are the only 2 members left in our staff. They are very capable of seeing CCDI through the next decade. The board and I, however, believe it is time to close our doors. We thank all of those who have worked with us to bring about good for our city. Even though we will close our doors, we will still work with council on the 3 houses in question and give input on how to accomplish this goal of coming out whole. We have been trying for over a year to meet on these 3 houses. We have been working in Newport News without any problems. In fact, we were slated to begin 3 new houses, which would have set us on a course to recovery. Our new executive director, Steve Hagwood, was overseeing this project. This would improve our relationship with the banks, but no one moved on it. Even after the city manager said everything was a go, no one moved. Please keep in mind, especially those on City Council who have helped us and supported us, that we were on a course to move forward. 3 additional houses in Newport News were coming online, 3 in Portsmouth, the ones highlighted in the Virginian pilot. These houses can be made whole, even now. The center is troubled by seeing the inequity with Redevelopment and Housing Authority and 2 projects that were done simultaneously. CCDI and PRHA were awarded 2 contracts, each similar in scope of work. PRHA was awarded $196,000, CCDI $82,000 for very similar work, $114,000 difference. My hope is that this conflict between CCDI and the City of Portsmouth will help our city see that we still have a great divide between races and classes. I do not dislike Jeff Crimer nor Paul Holt, nor do I think they're bad people. In fact, I believe they are very proficient in their jobs. I also believe Jeff Crimer and Paul Holt use that proficiency in an ugly and damaging way. This is not only an issue of white attitude. I have seen racism on both sides. My hope is that the present sad situation of CCDI might lead us to take a deep look at our personal attitudes and discern what we need to do to break down the barriers that divide us from one another. Thank you. Thank you to those who have helped many in Hampton Roads. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and all that you have trying to do for our city.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Good night.
Our next speaker is Ms. Sharice Spencer, and she's followed by Ms. Kentrell Devon.
Good evening. My name is Sharice Spencer, and I am here to address Portsmouth City Council and its citizens. I speak on behalf of the Center for Community Development, or CCDI. I worked at CCDI from 1994 to 2006, full-time, and after that time as a consultant through the training I received there. CCDI is an organization that is there for the everyday citizen who needs help navigating the stormy waters of home ownership, small business acquisitions and development, and looking for a safe haven for their school-aged children. When it came to the nonprofit community development world, there was much to learn. One of the most distinct characteristics is the amount of paperwork required. Multiple audits are done on a regular basis from multiple agencies on city, state, and federal level. However, CCDI always passed the audits and in fact has been recognized and received rewards and awards from HUD as well as best practices from the Small Business Administration. Though there have been problems with the interface of working with Portsmouth City organizations, CCDI has a long track record showing its readiness to work with oversight agencies. Why? Because the important thing is the citizens. Yes, CCDI has made mistakes. In the beginning, first it was because it was a new genre of the nonprofit community development. Then there are consistent changing regulations. This organization has been around for over 20 years. After that, the amazing 2008 economic upheaval that has affected all layers of the community. However, CCDI's record speaks for itself. It has built over 100 homes, putting 13.8 million real estate taxes back in the base. It has loaned more than $3 million in small business loans and provided technical assistance, has created over 800 jobs, has developed directly over 1,000 youth in the Hampton Roads area. Its executive director received the Small Business Administration Minority Champion Award. CCDI has been visited by HUD and SBA consistently, bringing to the table city, state, and federal agencies, as well as politicians and banks, showing them how they can interface with this organization to help the everyday citizens. Youth programs have received commendations from the president. Multiple governors have been ambassadors in and out of the state. It has worked with over 100 church and youth agencies to serve youth throughout the region, and hundreds of youth and teachers go through our workshops working on stress reduction and performance improvement. Our youth programming graduates are now leaders in education, medicine, military, and homemakers. In other words, CCDI has turned out very good citizens. So, this nonprofit's value has been turned over and over and over again. If you decide to get rid of CCDI by removing your support, what will replace it, even in the short term? Please remember that CCDI's mere presence within the city's borders allows the availability of certain government funding to Portsmouth. At $800,000 a year, over 20 years, we're talking about $17 million. How will this be replaced? Who is going to represent the small citizen? The person who has medical bills but wants to start a small business loan that the bank can't approve. What about the young woman who's a single mother who gets out of college? She wants to buy a house. Who's going to represent her? And who's going to take care of her kids when she has to work at night? Who has the youth programming to put her kids in? Organizations like CCDI and community development organizations are advocates for the everyday citizen. Who's at fault here? There's enough blame to go around for everybody. It's like Congress in the fiscal cliff. We need results, but everybody's pointing fingers. Can we please stop pointing fingers and start thinking about the citizens of Portsmouth that need our agencies and our organizations and our businesses to work together for our future? Thank you.
Thank you.
Following Ms. Devon is Mr. Steve Hagwood.
Greetings. My name is Kentrell Devon. You know I'm the founder of DIVA. I live in Newport. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Bishop, Lady Randall, Mr. Moody, and welcome aboard, City Manager. I am thankful for the atmosphere of tonight. We've had some small waves, but we are really blessed because the last few months, these meetings was just off the chain. So I am proud, and I believe that we can go forward in an excellent way. Anytime Watkins, Bill can be happy, we are going well. You know, we're doing really well. So I'm sorry to hear the news about the CC them. So I'm sorry about that, but I believe somehow, some way, even through this, we can redevelop, rescope, do whatever needs to be done so we can keep moving forward in our city. At this time, I'm sorry to say I do have a little issue, and I believe it can be quickly resolved. There have been, I guess you can call them Operation Seatbelt Stings on the campus of our schools in the morning. And I think that's a bad setting to do that because the students are pulling up to the school with their parents, and you having the police pulling students over with their mom and dad or whoever, and they have to sit there and get a ticket, and then they have to go in school with that on their mind. Now, we know we have issues at times with authority figures with our youth. I think that's a bad taste to do that on school campus because, you know, that's just not getting a ticket early in the morning. Parents are not happy with the police, and then the student has to sit there and hear all of that, and it makes them begrudge the police. So we want to protect them, but we want to also do it in wisdom. So can we not have seatbelt stings on the school campuses, please? Now, you all know what I say. Have your people address the issue, and then we'll all be happy. I was pleased to hear that most of our residents in Portsmouth said Merry Christmas. It lets me know that we have a city, again, like I said, that believes in faith. We are a faith-based city, and therefore there's a lot of prayer going on for our city and with our city. So, Mr. Rowe, I want to meet you. I meet everybody, so I may not have an office for you to come to, but I'm going to find you, look for me, and we'll sit together because they told me that the city council meetings were not for students and the situations that I bring before the council. But if everybody can get up here and fight and shoot them up, then I think I can come up here and try to push our teams, because if we're going to have a plan of action 5, 6 years out, 10 years out, we have to pour into these teams because they're going to take the flags and they're going to take the mantles. And if we don't pour into them, where's the mantle going to go? It's going to fall, and there's going to be no one there to pick it up. So if we can keep the transition going, instead of the mantle falling, we can just pass it along. And I want to thank Bishop. Oh, you know, I keep saying every time I get on, I'm call you Councilman Edmonds. But if they can call each other everything else, then I think it's safe for me to call you Bishop. So I want to thank you because you always drop nuggets of wisdom. I finally understand the one that says, a bird in the hand's better than two in the bush. I got it. So I'm working all of that. I thank everyone who has supported Diva, being the baby of the bunch. A lot of times I sit down and I'm like, Lord, what have I crossed over into? But we're going to make it. We're going to make it. We're going to join together, and we're going to strengthen each other and the city. Also, Mr. Mayor, you didn't respond to my request. Friday night, we are having a Christmas social, and Bishop again has extended his banquet hall, which I think many of you need to use for future endeavors, because it's really nice. But we have it, and I would like for you to come. Business scale, you give us like 10 minutes or something. All right? All right, so everyone have a wonderful Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Mr. Vice Mayor Whitehurst, congratulations to you for time spent well served for our city. I pray your latter years be filled with peace, joy, and I'm sure they can't get away from you. So we thank you, sir, and you too, Mr. Heritage. Thank you. Y'all have a happy Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Steve Hagwood, and he's followed by our final speaker, Ms. Kathy Shapley.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Whitehurst, City Council. Merry Christmas to everyone, and good evening. I wasn't prepared to speak this evening, but I felt compelled to speak as the evening moved along. You know, Mr. Mayor, you stated that your motto for both of your campaigns have been a new beginning. Well, sir, I believe that. And when you first got elected, you attended one of our annual meetings, and you were able to see the impact that we had on the Portsmouth community. We had our annual meeting right over here at the Hawthorne Hotel, and you actually got a chance to see how CCDI received awards for our small business program. We actually received an award for $100,000 for actually providing small business loans. You actually got to see one of our youth actually perform during the ceremony by playing the steel pan drums. You actually got to see the impact that our housing program has on the community. With that being said, the young lady here speaking, talking about how she's looking for housing for her sister. She's battered, she's abused, and she needs a home. What better way to go into the new year than to actually provide her with a house that's almost nearly completed, which would actually help the program 2231 Elm, one of the houses that you guys were talking about. If we can work that out and provide her with a house, what better way for City Council and the City of Portsmouth to get recognition? I charge you, City Council, with helping us to provide that possibility to that young lady. Not only to those that are here on council tonight, but the incoming council members coming into the new year. We can make this work. I am a man of faith, and never more over the past couple of weeks since that article has come out have I leaned more and more on my faith. And the Bible says, when there's rain, there's a storm. And in order to appreciate a rainbow, you have to go through a storm. Come the new year, let that situation be your rainbow, be our rainbow. I thank you. I'm brief. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. Good night.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Wright, Vice Mayor Whitehurst, and esteemed members of City Council. I would like to first thank you for your service and dedication to our historic and proud city. My name is Kathy Shapley. I reside at 116 Byers Avenue in the Simonsdale section of our city. And yes, I am going to speak to you about chickens, which apparently can bring grown adults to laughter like school children. On November 27th, Sharon Jackson and Ruth Goodhart approached City Council about reviewing the possibilities of having the codes changed to allow backyard hens. We thank you for addressing this request and researching the surrounding city codes with amazing speed. For this, we are truly grateful. As you know, Chesapeake has just gave the okay for its residents to keep hens. I have provided each of you a copy of a recent article dated December 9th, found on hamptonroads.com. I have highlighted where the State Health Department has eased any concerns about health or odor issues in keeping a small number of hens. At this time, I would like to highlight the fact that our city, which we are all so very proud of, has just won the EPA's National Award for Smart Growth Achievement. I cannot think of any better way to compliment this award than to allow the citizens of Portsmouth the freedom to learn and exercise sustainable living. This would help our personal microenvironments to flourish, adding to the overall quality of our city as a whole. As parents, neighbors, and mentors, we would have the opportunity to teach our city's youth the value and pride of being self-sufficient. By allowing hens, this would be a great way to teach some of these skills. We as a group have come together as citizens from diverse political and ideological backgrounds during the most polarized election of our time. We have joined together in spite of our differences as Portsmouth citizens with a common desire to work with you, City Council, to get the codes changed back for us to have the freedom to own hens in our own yards. I share this with you to express how passionate we are about our request to keep backyard hens. At this time, I would like our small group to stand along with anyone else in the audience that would like to show support for keeping backyard hens. I thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. Have a Merry Christmas. God bless America. God bless our troops. And God bless Portsmouth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. If there's concurrence, I'd like to see staff put some thought into it, maybe come back with some recommendations, especially since the State Health Department certainly weighed in on it. And maybe they can, staff can do some research and put forth some recommendations on what we could do to allow hens in Portsmouth as well. There's concurrence. Appears to be.
Can you speak on this? What we got from Bernadette here on last meeting's report here. I'm reading here, she came in the ordinance, 2010, the zoning ordinance in the code section that allowed keeping of poultry or bees was removed. The term poultry is defined in the ordinance, but is not listed as either an accessory or a permit to use in any district. What, can you speak on it? Can somebody speak on it, or should we look into it and come back?
I recommend that we look into it, follow Councilman Moody's recommendation, and we'll get to it, get right on it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I see the response here in the next paragraph she's got here for those individuals. Okay, very good. Thank you.
So with council's concurrence, we'll...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
More than happy. Thank you. And thank you, ma'am, for your comments. And happy holidays to everyone. We're adjourned.
One announcement.
We're on adjourn. One announcement from Councilman Moody.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an important announcement as I have my mouth full of candy cane. But on December the 28th, which is a Friday, at 6 p.m. at Willett Hall, there will be a swearing-in oath of office ceremony for Mayor, for you, for Councilwoman-elect Simmis, and for Councilman-elect Danny Meeks. Just wanted to, and Bishop Edmonds. You've been around so long, I think you've been here long enough to have to be reelected, Bishop. So that's always a great ceremony. So and that's open to the public. So
and it's at Willett Hall.
Willett Hall, 6 p.m. Friday, the
28th.
28th.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you. Good night. Happy holidays.